Hello, film fans. Welcome to All the Film Things. I'm your host, Elizabeth. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please leave a review and a rating. Also follow All the Film Things on Instagram for updates and more film things. Those who are frequent listeners of this podcast are probably aware of my love for Pedro Almodóvar, as I have not been shy about it. Him and his work have been frequently discussed, or at least mentioned, by me and me alone for over a year now. Then, in November, I found someone who shared my passion for Almodóvar, and today, that special guest returns, that's the key word, to devote an entire episode to one of his masterpieces. Never before have one of his films been the focus of an episode, so this is very exciting. Today, we are talking about Pedro Almodóvar's 2006 comedy-drama film, Volver, starring his two muses, Penélope Cruz and Carmen Maura. The special guest and fellow Almodóvar fan joining me today is the Director of Communications for the Film Noir Foundation, Anne Hockens. Anne, thank you very much for joining me today.
I'm very excited to be doing this. I'm just super excited about this.
Me too. This has been one of the most highly anticipated episodes for the year. We've been talking about this since our last episode, which was Double Indemnity back a few months ago to celebrate Noirvember. And this is really the perfect second episode for us, considering the term Volver means return.
It's kind of perfect.
It is. And we will be talking about all the things happening with the Film Noir Foundation later in this episode. But I'm very excited to discuss this tremendous achievement of a film with you. Okay.
I'm so excited too. It's an incredible film. So if you haven't seen it before, stop this and
Yes.
watch it and then come back to the podcast.
Yeah, we're absolutely spoiling it, so you better have seen this film before you proceed further. Do you remember the first time you saw Volver?
Yes, it was at the Egyptian Theater when it was still owned by the Landmark, not in LA, but in Seattle.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And then I just remember the thing that happened. So I watched the film, and when I got home, I immediately called my mother to talk to her. Mm-hmm. It really gave me this really strong desire to do that.
Yeah. That's part of why the film connects so deeply with everyone, because everyone has that, a lot of people have that bond with a mother and a daughter, and of course there's friction at times, so it's a very moving film. No wonder, I imagine many people, when they saw this film come out, they just called their mom.
I would think so. I don't think I was probably alone in that. You know, if you're lucky enough that your mother is still there. You know, this time when I watched it, my mother just passed in July.
Oh,
so it was a very different experience kind of watching this now.
Yeah.
Than it was sort of the first time, because you're probably going to bring this up, but I believe this film was done after Pedro's mother died.
Yes.
And that obviously had an impact on it.
His mom died in 1999, and this film, in the process of making it, was his mourning period for his mom. So it definitely meant a lot to him, and based on what Penelope has said about the making of the film, he was the most joyous, and his morale was the happiest he's had on a film that they've worked together on. So it was really absolutely an important film for him to make. Had you already been an Almodóvar fan when you saw this film?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I the first thing I saw in the theater by him was Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
Whoa.
When that was released. I'm old. And I just, instantly became a fan, and stuff would come out. And then, of course, I got to see, his back catalog on video. Mm-hmm. I became a very, very big fan of his, because I just think he's not just like a good filmmaker in terms of his, cinematography and art design and all those kind of things. Mm-hmm. But also I think that, and what I like about him is he really understands people, and he actually likes people.
Yes. So
even when somebody does something terrible in one of his films, he still portrays them three-dimensionally. Mm-hmm. They're not just, especially like in Talk to Her, I think that was a really great example of that, where you have this character who does something really terrible, but he built him up. We see him as a human being first, I just think that he just really understands people, especially women. Like I tend to think that his male-centric films never really are quite hit the mark the way that his female-centric films do.
Absolutely. My favorite Almodóvar films are mostly women-centered. I know it's impossible to ask this, but where does Volver rank amongst Almodóvar's filmography, in your opinion?
I think pretty high. I mean, my favorite films are actually, as much as I said that about women, my favorite, well, there were good women characters in it, but I really love, like, Matador and Law of Desire. Those are probably my two favorite films of his.
Wow, Law of Desire, that's a great one.
Yeah, and I really love Matador, but I kind of have a thing, I think, for, you know, murder, suicide, and doomed romance. For some reason, I like those kind of stories.
Well, you do love noir, and you're an expert on noir, so that tracks.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably what it is. I like the dark side of the screen, as
yes.
Foster Hirsch called it.
I love that.
Yeah. But I think Volver, you know, it's just, because for me, there's just like, he's had sort of three distinct periods. So I kind of only like to compare the films within that period to his, even though I said overall, those really are my favorites. So like in each kind of period, you know, because I think now he's gotten to kind of another period too with the, you know, I can't remember the name of the film, it's within it, where it's about a filmmaker.
Pain and Glory?
Like that to me felt like another kind of, okay, now we're in another kind of period of our, you know, where it's different once again. So, but I think out of that kind of middle period in between his like post Women on the Verge of Nervous Breakdown and sort of pre this, I mean, Volver is really up there for me.
Yes.
Because it's also kind of, I guess he must have been, I mean, because she looks like Sophia Loren in it. So I guess, you know, he was sort of doing the Italian neorealism thing. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting because and talking about him being joyous on set, I feel like, you know, it feels like his most joyous film.
Yes.
It is a very considering the kind of the heavy topics in it, but it is very life affirming.
It is. It's a film about grief and death, yet there are plenty of comedic moments, and it doesn't wallow in sadness or grief. It's a tremendous and beautiful film.
Exactly.
I first saw Volver last year. I had been given the opportunity to interview James Miller about his new book, The Passion of Pedro Almodóvar, which I'm sitting here holding right now. And I'd been wanting to get into Almodóvar's work since I saw Parallel Mothers, the second film of his I watched, and that one blew me away, and I just started researching him, but his films have been hard to find, so though I was researching and finding these films, I couldn't find a way to see them. So about a year later, or within the year, I then saw All About My Mother, which another film that blew me away, and when the opportunity arose in the beginning of last year, I was very excited, and the way the book is set up, it's a self-portrait in 7 films, that's the subtitle, and every chapter is on a film, and of these 7 films, I'd only seen one, the last one, which was Pain and Glory. Volver was first, and I found the DVD at my local DVD store, and I thought, oh man, I don't often buy DVDs without seeing them first, so hopefully I like it. And another example of being blown away by his work. The DVD I'm looking at right now, too. It's an incredible film. I didn't quite understand the significance of Penelope Cruz starring opposite Carmen Maura because I'd only seen Penelope's in Parallel Mothers before this and All About My Mother. I hadn't seen any Carmen Maura films, but now, having seen it 3 times, I take something away. How do I say it? I take something away differently than the time before. Even when I rewatched it the other night, it hit me more deeply, especially in terms of grief, but the comedic elements become more evident. They're far more clear than the first time I saw it, and to see his 2 muses together was a very big deal. It's the only time they've worked together with Almodóvar.
Yeah, and for me, so because I guess I mentioned that I was, you know, seeing these things in the theater as they came out from, you know, We're on the Verge of Breakdown sort of onwards, and I loved Carmen Maura, and you know, she was just absent from his films because, you know, had this falling out and stuff, and so when I saw the preview, I think for Volver, and she was in it, I was just beside myself. I was so excited that she was going to be making a film with him again, because I really missed her presence in his films.
Do you think Penelope Cruz and Carmen Maura's performances are amongst their best when compared to their other collaborations with Pedro?
I think Penelope Cruz, yes. And I think with Maura, it was just so consistent that I couldn't pick a favorite performance of hers.
Okay.
Out of all the films she did. She was just consistently really exceptional in all the movies. So for her, I don't think I have a favorite one, even though I do like her very much in Law of Desire. But they can't even say that, because I love her in every single performance of hers I love. Yeah. And with Penelope Cruz, I felt like that she was able to plumb more depth in this role. And part of that was how the role was written. I don't know. Just of what I've seen of her, I feel this is like one of the best roles that was ever written for her. Like, it was really great to see her on something like this, because she's sort of, underused.
Absolutely. This is the first real starring role in a film that she's had. She's always been supporting, and even in Live Flesh, she was only in the first few minutes, and that was it. So this was her big opportunity to be the lead, and it's a very different role for her compared to what I found with the rest of her body of work. She has more of an edge in this film, which is really great to see. But this film and Parallel Mothers are amongst her two very best performances in general, but especially in Almodóvar's collaborations with her.
And I do enjoy her and Antonio Banderas's little cameo at the beginning of the one. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it. It's the one on the airplane.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited. You know what? I actually interviewed 3 of the actors for that. I can't believe I forgot the title.
Gosh. What?
Yeah, it was back when I was working for a streaming company called Fandor.
Yeah.
And I was their office manager, even though I'd originally approached them about writing for them. And then Jonathan Marlowe and I had worked at, I'm trying to keep this short. Jonathan Marlowe and I had worked at Scarecrow Video together. So I'd approached him about, hey, I know you guys are taking writing, I'm looking for work, but, I'd like to get some writing in while I'm looking for work. And he's like, what are you looking for? And I said, office manager, because we really need one. So that's how I wound up there. But when this interview opportunity came into our blog, Jonathan just grabbed it for me and said, hey, you want to just interview? And I said, yes.
Oh my God. Amazing.
Yeah.
Have you ever been close to an interview with Pedro?
No, oh my God, I couldn't even do it. I'd be such a sap. Yeah, I think that it'd be like for me trying to interview Anders Thomas Jensen. I would just be such a mess that I don't think. But it was fun to interview the actors, because I could talk about how great he was, and they were like agreeing with me. So it was really nice. We were all just kind of fangirling out together. But it was cool to do that. That's like one of the best interview things I've done.
Yeah.
That it was so much fun, and it was a good article and all that. Yeah.
Is the article still out there?
Yeah, it may be on Fandor's blog still.
Okay.
I guess if you go Fandor blog, Pedro Almodóvar, you can see if you can find it. And and I know you asked me about my cable access shows, and I really should get those digitized. Like, I have the videotapes, and I realize I really should do that,
I want to see them.
And maybe see if I can figure out how to put them up on YouTube or something. But because just so people know, we were talking about Ozu, and I had mentioned I did a whole hour on him one time. So that's why this is fresh in my mind.
Yeah, everyone, we're putting an Ozu film on our list of future episodes together, so stay tuned for that in the future. Yeah,
because I'm very excited to do that, because, oh my gosh, and if people haven't watched it yet, if you have access to TCM, like on HBO, they have the TCM channel. So if you guys have that, the Ozu Diaries is a tremendous documentary about Ozu that was played at the TCM festival, and then they put it on their station. It's their own production, and I really recommend people watch that, because he's just,
I saw it on their schedule, and I was very curious about it, but I'm also curious about, they dedicated a whole month this month to Ozu, which was amazing. All these Ozu films are now available for about a month now, so I got to catch up on more of his films that I haven't seen.
Yeah, please do. And because I went to in Seattle, the Cinematheque there had a retrospective of his work, and I think I saw like over 20 of his films, like in a like it was like something like a 4 to 6 week period. It was just amazing. I just wanted every single one I could get to. I went to, and it was like amazing. I just fell so in love with him as a filmmaker. And like Almodóvar, he really has a feel for people.
Yes,
you know, that kind of interest and compassion for people, which I just love in a filmmaker.
Yeah, it's clear in his work, and again, especially for women. He really depicts them beautifully and writes the most incredible roles for women. It makes me want all my favorite actresses to work with him.
Yeah, exactly. Because he is. I mean, I think it would be great. I mean, I think it would be great as an actress to work with him. I mean, like I said, I think, you know, circle back from what we were saying before. I mean, I think it was like when you see Penélope Cruz in this, I think a lot of people will be like, oh my God, I didn't realize she was such a great actress, especially from her Hollywood films, right? Because they were kind of way below her ability. Not that she wasn't good in them, but just that they weren't exactly the most complex characters in the world.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been going through her work recently, and she's often playing the nice, sweet dream girl. And Almodóvar really brings out the complexity in her abilities to a degree that no one else really does. I will say I did see her film Mama recently. She was excellent in it, but in terms of acting abilities, no one can bring it out of her like Pedro, and she applauds him and their collaborations endlessly. She always says that she hopes to work with him again, and I am waiting and waiting for that announcement to be made.
Yeah, and I know I saw announced that he's got a new film coming out, which looks pretty interesting. I mean, you know, I was just immediately intrigued. So hopefully we'll hear more about that as the months go by.
So yes, I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for that film to come out, which I do have mentioned later in our episode today.
Oh, good. You probably know what the title is, whereas I'm just blanking.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. I have it listed all at the end. But before we get to that, we both brought out our Almodóvar books for this episode and preparing for it. Which books do you have?
I think I sent you a photo. I have like 7 different books at least on Almodóvar. And those were just the ones that would have references to Volver. I actually have other ones that were written before that, before that film was made.
Whoa.
So, yeah, that was just sort of ridiculous. I'm not sure. I think probably overall, there's one called Laws of Desire, and I believe the author's name, I want to say Julian Smith. Anyway, and the book is sort of, so I think he's written a lot about, oh God, I hope the name is right. I'm sorry, I should have written it down before
That's okay.
Before I did this.
I thought you just had 3. Horrible. I didn't know you had 7. You have quite a collection of books then.
Yeah, because that stack was like, I think at least 5 in that. And then, I have other ones I didn't pull out because I figured it wouldn't have anything about that in. So, I used to go this place called Cinema Books in Seattle, which is the most wonderful bookstore in the world. You know, Stephanie had to retire at some point, so she did. So I've got like an enormous collection of books that no one should have.
Well, it's good. It's a whole library of books, and I'm sure you have plenty of DVDs as well. It's amazing.
Yeah, and with Volver, I have a DVD of it, but I thought, I should upgrade to Blu-ray, but it's not available for Blu-ray in the States. So I bought an import. So I got it because I have an all-region player, so I bought an import. But which is kind of weird to me. So I was surprised. And then you said about having a hard time finding these films because he was such a big deal. Like I've got my sets that came out of his films, and then Criterion I think has put out. I mean, I know they put out one on the Verge.
They have a few.
But I'm just surprised because to me it's like, how could his films not be in print all the time? That's crazy.
They should be. His film, even when I went to the DVD store, I looked for all these films, and Volver was the only one that I found. Quentin Tarantino said he's the most underrated filmmaker in the U.S., and I absolutely agree. A lot of people I mentioned Almodóvar to, they don't quite know. Some of the most film aficionado people I know are not so familiar with Almodóvar, so it makes me sad because he's truly one of the greats.
And it's so weird to me because he was so huge for so long. Like,
wow.
I mean, because obviously I'm older than you are, and like he hit so big. Like there was like a retrospective of his films. I remember in Seattle, my parents were coming up to visit me at one point, and there was like a whole like in theater retrospective of his work. Like he was like, I mean, I don't know when that really shifted, but sometime after Bad Education, I noticed that it just seemed like
interesting.
It was. Yeah.
Just before Volver.
Yeah. Well, I guess Volver was really big too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and definitely his films sort of, there wasn't as much, but see, I don't know how much of that too is, you know, this kind of thing with, you know, the closing of the video stores and theaters that did rep theater closing out is I don't think people are as well educated on film anymore.
That's true. Yeah.
Because they don't have those people that were like, oh, you have to watch this, or I'm going to program this because these films are important, you know, and I think it's detrimental, you know, and that people that would have been well known at one point aren't as well known anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
that must have been what happened with Almodóvar. But I hope my generation is finding his work. I saw at Cannes, there was a lot of people waiting for him to give autographs, to take pictures with, and there was someone probably around my age who was like calling out to him, I love you, I love you, I love you, please come take a picture with me. So I hope that Almodóvar will be prominent again amongst the younger generation.
I hope so too, because I think he's like a tremendous filmmaker.
He is.
You know, and it's funny how those things happen because like, you know, prior to that Ozu retrospective, like I'd heard of him, but I hadn't seen any of his films. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was so happy when TCM did that.
Yeah.
And I hope they'll continue to do that. They did play some Almodóvar films too last year. I think it was last year, maybe the year before, which also made me really happy.
They
I know a lot of people complain that. Yeah. They also played, they did a really good job on that.
Mm-hmm. They played Volver in March, I think.
Oh, cool. This year?
Yeah, this year. I saw it on the schedule
cool.
and I was like,
I missed that.
I have never seen them play it. I normally see the older films, like, well, I mean, even All About My Mother, I'll see that one play occasionally, but it's been a little while for that to even play on TCM too, actually, now that I think of it.
Yeah, because I remembered when they played Matador, I posted on my personal Facebook account. Mm-hmm. I was so excited they were playing it. I really wanted people to watch it.
I have
some people, and some people complain about TCM like, oh, they're not classics. And it's like, look, if a film is like, I mean, 40 years old, it's a classic. You know, I mean, of course, it's at some point classics move forward.
Yeah, it's not all just the 40s anymore. Time is going on, and there are other films that people would like to see that other platforms don't often highlight. So TCM is a great place to do that.
Exactly. So thank you, TCM.
Yes, thank you, TCM.
And I love that they're showing a lot of foreign films, too. That's just awesome, because I want people to see those films.
Mm-hmm. Very important. All right, I will first read the IMDb plot summary for Volver. After her death, a mother returns to her hometown in order to fix the situation she couldn't resolve during her own life. And the film also stars Johanna Kobo and 3 more familiar faces, if you're familiar with Almodóvar's work. Lola Dueñas, I'm going to butcher some of these names, Blanca Portillo, and Chus Lamprive. All right. The film opens at a cemetery, and though Pedro's films often discuss death, I've been trying to think if Pedro has addressed it so immediately before. Do you think this truly looks like an alien world to us in the U.S., the women tending to upkeeping the gravestones?
Yeah, I mean, it is very different from our traditions, definitely. I mean, definitely there are people that will go and put flowers on a grave and stuff like that. But we don't have that whole communal process of everyone goes together and they really, really like wash the headstones and put in new flowers, and it's a regular thing, and that it's a community thing.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't go do just your family. Everybody's out there, or I should say everybody, the women are all out there.
Yeah. I didn't think it was so for, and except for the fact that it's communal and there were so many people out there scrubbing headstones. And it was shot very meticulously. I love this tracking shot of all these women, and then we get to the title card and we meet the main characters.
Yeah, I think also the way they greeted each other struck me too, with the cheek kissing and stuff. I mean, their interactions as well, you know.
Do you think that was exaggerated a bit, the kisses on the cheek, because of the sound and the number of kisses there were?
I'm assuming the number of kisses is probably normal. Like, I think that was probably taken from there. The sound was like a little much. But I think that I'm assuming because he based it so much on his own experiences, I would assume that. And also, I mean, that's just more of a thing in some cultures where you just kiss each other on the cheeks, you know, even if it's people you know. It's just every time you see someone, you do that. So I would assume that was probably the normal amount, would be my guess. I don't know. If we have people from Spain, you can let us know.
Yeah. Anyone from Spain, please comment if that's exaggerated or if that's the normal amount of kisses on a cheek. When I rewatched the film, I've been able to see more of the comedic moments, as I've said. So on my latest rewatch, I thought, well, maybe with the sound, it was exaggerated a bit to a comedic effect, but I wasn't quite sure. It used to be like the kissing on the cheek. I remember as a kid seeing that more often with family members, but that doesn't really happen anymore in the U.S., at least in my world.
Yeah, me too. I noticed the same thing. I mean, whenever I see Eddie, he always kisses me, and he's like the only person that does that. Yeah, nobody else does that. I like it. You know, he's spent time in France. You know, he's a sophisticated guy.
Yes,
and he's like the only person I know that does that. And you're right, because like one time, that was just really common. Like your aunts and your uncles and everything. You see people, and they would just do that. I mean, hugging, I guess, is still pretty normal. At this point, we're still hugging. Eventually, we'll just text each other.
Yep, or shake hands.
Shaking hands. I mean, I hated that about the you know what that happened 6 years ago with not shaking hands with people. I'm so happy to see people shaking hands again. You know, which to me is just very civilized. Like, I don't know, I just feel like if you're introduced to someone, you should shake hands with them, you know?
I like that approach more. But there are a lot of huggers in the world. I'm not as big of a hugger as some people would like, I guess. But yeah, the shaking of the hands is good, except if you give me a hand cramp, then it's a little too forceful.
I don't like the limp handshake. That always bugs me, especially in a man, I'll be honest.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want strangers to hug me. Like, I don't like hugging people I know. But if I don't know you, or if I only know you, like if we're friends at work and we go do something together, it's like, I'm not sure if it's appropriate to hug or not. So I don't know. To me, hugging is like really kind of invasive. I mean, less to me oddly than like cheek kissing. Like cheek kissing is actually less invasive to me than hugging would be. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's too much.
I get it. I go to some networking events and then I'm always hugged and I'm like, I would really not like to hug.
Like, I don't know you.
Yes. Oh, no one ever relates to me on this. I can't believe I found a fellow person who's not so crazy about hugs. This is wonderful.
And we both like to go to the theater when no one's there. So.
Exactly. Yes. I love it. Oh, this is great. Let's see. So in that cemetery, well, in the whole world of this film, this is Pedro's known for his magical realism. There was a word, something fantasy that I'm blanking on now, but do you see this as a world where the dead don't die?
Well, I mean, that's the interesting thing about this film. I think we'll get to it when we get to the scene, which I really love with the mother returning.
Oh, yes.
Is I think that's kind of what's interesting is there's people who believe in the supernatural in this film and people who don't. And then that becomes kind of, explained through the course of the story. So to me, this is actually, it's actually really, I mean, it's sort of in the best way, like a Douglas Sirk film, things are exaggerated, but they're telling a truth at the same time. Was that an answer to that question?
I'd say so. It's a tough question to answer because you're right. That's the thing about this film. It presents the idea that the dead don't die. And Almodóvar talks about, as we've said, this film is very much based on the stories he would hear as a kid from his own life. He was always surrounded by women. And actually, Penelope has said the same thing. She grew up, I mean, probably not too far from where Pedro lived, just like a generation or two later. And she was surrounded by women of the village, and that really informed her interest in going into film. But he was told when he was younger that his grandfather appeared to the people of the village, yet he never believed it. And he did say something about how in real life he has never been able to accept that people, I'm trying to remember the quote. He has said that he's agnostic and that he doesn't quite believe that people live on after their death. He doesn't quite give in to this idea that the people in the village do. And he didn't believe that his grandfather had presented himself, but somehow he was able to capture a character in his film getting over that, something that he has not been able to do in real life.
Yeah, and I think too, it's kind of interesting because the dead do live on in this film, even though it's not a physical manifestation, right?
Yeah.
The impact of the dead still lives on. You know, the impact of what happens to Penelope Cruz's character when she was younger, that lives on. So the traumatic things that happen from generation of women to generation of women live on. So, and just like the traditions live on. So things are in the dead do live on their impact on us. So in that sense, yeah, they do live on. But I think that, you know, in this film, he's showing that there's not a real physical manifestation of that. It's not even, you know, that superstition, I guess, is reflecting sort of an actual reality of the impact that people have on our lives, even when they're gone.
Yes. And, when you mentioned Penelope Cruz's character, Raimunda, she's a fascinating character in itself, but also in terms of Penelope Cruz's filmography, as we've said. Oh, I found the quote from Pedro. He said he has admitted that death frightens him and is agnostic but doesn't believe in reincarnation, which prevents him from understanding the disappearance of living things, which is a problem he has not solved, but the person in the film does. Okay, yes. Wanted to get that right. But with Raimunda, as the film goes on, Raimunda's rough exterior slowly sheds to reveal her vulnerability. But did you find her to be a likable character from the beginning?
Yeah, I liked her from the beginning, definitely. I mean, she was definitely the type of person that's like, I mean, she could be a little abrasive, you know, with her sister and other people and stuff. But, you know, she really loves her daughter, you know, and and just like when she decides to open the restaurant, just the way she's able to like maneuver through her neighborhood and get the things she needs to get that first meal done. And, you know, that she's going to pay those people back, and she immediately has a plan for that. So she's very ethical, I guess is what I'm saying. And she really loves her family, but she's a little acerbic for sure.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so nice, because she's so strong and stuff, that, you know, at the end, we really see that vulnerable side to her. You know, we get to see that other side is really, you know, beautiful.
Do you think you were inclined to like her because Penelope Cruz is in the role and she does tend to play sweet, deeply empathetic characters?
No, I just really liked the character.
Ah, okay.
Just like I said, I think I liked a woman that was very independent and could, like, you know, take care of things. Like there's definitely times I'm kind of peeved with her at the beginning because, like I said, she can be pretty rude to her sister and stuff. And while you admire the tough exterior, it also can be a little, you know, hard to deal with. But I think maybe just the way she immediately believes her daughter, I guess, is also part of it.
That's a good point.
You know, and wants to protect her.
Mm-hmm. And actually, speaking of that point, it's amazing how Almodóvar is able to, as James Miller's book says, braid different stories by introducing multiple narrative threads at once. And the first maybe 10 minutes of the film presents one story, since most of the main characters are together, but once Raimunda and Sol separate, the film takes on two different plots. Those two different plots are heavily inspired by two excellent films by two of Almodóvar's greatest influences, yet the magically realistic world Almodóvar creates for his films makes these influences nearly undetectable. So, since you just mentioned how Raimunda immediately believes her daughter Paula, Let's start with Raimunda's storyline. She gets home and her daughter is unusually waiting for her at the bus stop. She's spooked as she begins to tell her what's going on. Then there's a quick cut and Raimunda is screaming. We have nearly entered a Hitchcock film. So, I only saw The Trouble with Harry for the first time recently, so the humor to the storyline flew over my head. But while you were watching this scene, were you laughing, or is the humor more in the several attempts of moving the body?
I mean, I think the whole thing with moving the body is just inherently funny because I love it when you get to like when there's a crime and then there's a practical reality of dealing with the crime, and I always really enjoy when filmmakers show the writers show the practical reality of dealing with, like, how do you deal with a dead body?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a man, it's heavier than you are. You know, how are you going to get the thing? What are you going to do with it? You know, so I found that sort of inherently funny. Just this, you know, just I like it because she first finds a body and she's putting the paper towels down, you know, and it soaks red. I really love it. And you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can handle this. And then thankfully it kind of shifts into the more humorous aspect of like dealing with like, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah. Well, I love that you pointed out the paper towel moment because Almodóvar always works with Alberto Iglesias, his recurring collaborator, composer, and as the moment that blood is being soaked by the paper towels, the score expands with the blood in that one moment, and it kind of expands that moment in time for a second. I mean, that brings me to like Wong Kar-wai I was reminded of while watching it, but it's very Hitchcockian, and Alberto Iglesias' scores always match the inner feelings of the character. So when they're moving the body, I mean, this whole scene, the thrilling cues as Paul is telling the story that just last for a second, they're very Hitchcockian. And when they're moving the body later on, the second time Raimunda's helped by a few women to move the freezer, the score is back and it's very mysterious and suspenseful, and because they have no idea what they're helping to carry, but Raimunda absolutely does, and that's why the score is matching with her. It's fantastic.
That all went above my head. So I'm glad you said that. And I just like, because we had emailed prior, and you mentioned The Trouble with Harry, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess that is like The Trouble with Harry in a way, with, you know, burying the body and, you know, the shenanigans with that. And then also I was watching something on YouTube, and I didn't really think about it before either, but that whole thing of cleaning up the crime scene of her daughter is sort of reminiscent of Norman cleaning up the crime scene in Psycho of his mother's. And I never made that connection before.
That's a great connection, yes. Well, after I watched Volver, I was sitting thinking about the film, and I had this realization. It hit me immediately. So I got up and I just started writing, and the last page of my Volver notes are about these two storylines, but I didn't recognize that it was directly influenced by The Trouble with Harry. I just recognized it as Hitchcockian. And I compared it, I think, to Rope. But when I saw The Trouble with Harry, it made more sense, and I understood the comedic aspect. But I love that he did that. I thought it was brilliant. And then the other storyline, oh man, I love this too. Then there's Sol's storyline. Because Raimunda is preoccupied with concealing Paco's body, she can't make it to Aunt Paula's funeral. So Sol, shockingly, will have to go alone and face her fear of death head on, more than she could have ever foreseen at that point. The next day, her mother, who we all presume to have been dead for 3 years, presents herself to Sol, which absolutely freaks her out. We have nearly entered a Bergman film, specifically Fanny and Alexander. But I was also reminded of Autumn Sonata, considering the mother-daughter relationship.
Okay. Wow. This is really terrible. I haven't seen either of those films.
What? Really?
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Okay. Then I won't go further with that analysis, because I don't want any of those spoiled for you. But you should definitely watch them. They're great films.
I'm writing it down right now in my little book as we're speaking. Okay, I guess I really should watch those. Yeah.
Fanny and Alexander is the first film I watch on Christmas. I love it. It's an excellent film, And I'm very curious your thoughts on it, especially in comparison to Volver, because that is a very interesting conversation in itself. He's another master. Let's see.
Yeah, and I've not seen that much of his stuff. I've only seen a couple Bergman films. I need to kind of go in and backfill that.
Oh, yes. Well, Autumn Sonata, I just recently rewatched Winterlight. That's a great one, but that's a depressing one, so I don't recommend watching it in a good mood. The Seventh Seal is excellent. I mean, Wild Strawberries. Oh, that's one of his very best, absolute classic. But yeah, Autumn Sonata and Penny and Alexander, highly recommend.
Yeah, because I've seen like Seventh Seal and Wild Strawberries and I think Persona as well, and The Hour of the Wolf. So those are like the ones I've seen of his.
That's the one I'm missing. I'm a little nervous about it because I think it's a horror film, but Lee Volman and Max von Sydow are in it, so that makes me want to watch it.
Don't worry. Hour of the Wolf is not like, because someone told me, oh, yeah, it's my favorite horror film when I watched it. I was like, this isn't a horror film. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Phew, okay.
It's fine for people that don't like horror films. You can watch Hour of the Wolf. Don't worry about it.
Perfect. Great. I'm going to watch that around Halloween, maybe. Now, the most famous scene in the film is, well, it seems to be the most famous scene in the film, but I would argue there's two most famous scenes in the film. But the one I'm referring to now is Raimunda singing Volver, and Penelope masterfully lip syncs the whole performance, while Estrella Morent is actually the one singing. Could you tell Penelope was lip singing the first time you saw the film?
I couldn't tell necessarily if she was lip syncing, but I knew there was no way that was her singing. You know what I mean? Well, yeah, they're definitely not. But you can't. I mean, it's just like an old MGM film. You can't tell. I mean, there's Marty Nixon, I believe was her name, like dubbed so many of the actresses during the golden age. But, you couldn't tell just from looking, but you just kind of know there's just no way she can sing like that. I mean, that's like a real flamenco singer. So.
Yeah. And apparently flamenco songs, you can't just pick it up and learn. You have to start from childhood to learn them, which must have been quite a challenging process to lip sync even to the song.
Yeah, and to get the expressions too. I think it would be like, and also, I don't know, also if you're a native Spanish speaker, then that might be a difference too.
Yeah.
I'm not a Spanish speaker, so it's probably kind of easier to fool me on the lip syncing that maybe if you're a Spanish speaker, you would have like noticed right away.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, for her to try and lip sync her own words and Broken Embraces, that's one thing. But to lip sync a flamenco song, that must have been even more challenging. And
I would think it would be tremendously hard.
Yeah, it seems like it, especially the way she was describing it. And I always found this song to be deep and moving, but after my latest viewing, some of the lyrics really resonated with me. Was there a line or two from the song that especially resonated with you?
I don't know. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I get caught up so much like in the emotion of that scene that I'm not even sure how much I'm paying attention to the words.
Yeah.
Is that terrible? You know what I mean? Because I can't like pull the words out of the scene because it's just like the whole moment so overwhelming.
And she was able to conjure up that emotion every single time because there were multiple takes, yet she somehow was able to cry at those important moments, and it's even more meaningful when we cut to Carmen Maura in the car, who is watching from a distance. Oh, the past is closer than you think.
Yeah, and it is, and I do really love seeing cutting to the mother in the car is really wonderful. And I did want to just make a comment that I think one of my favorite moments in the film is when the mother, she's in the trunk, and the Raimona's sister gets out of her car and she's like pounding on the trunk,
Yes. And
she's like, no, you're a ghost. And she goes, well, even my ghost, can you open the trunk?
I'm your mother. Let me out.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a great scene. Even if I'm a ghost, just let me out anyway.
And the way they open the car door and she's crunched in there with a bit of a smile, just like really like hunched in there.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful sequence and just like really, really funny. Even though if you think about it, it is kind of like a really important moment of
Oh, yeah.
In a way, you know what I mean? And stuff, which is so caught up in the humor of it. You don't think about like the impact on the character that, you know, her mother's really there. I mean, what that would, you know what I mean? Because it's so funny. You just sort of like, oh yeah, that would actually be like really upsetting probably for the daughter.
Yeah, well, the actress who played Sol was fantastic with her expressions. And there's a bit of a surrealist feeling, well, especially the first time I watched it, because I don't know yet if she is truly a ghost or not. But the second and third time around, when you know what's going to happen, it is truly hilarious. Every time that she comes out hiding, even when she's under the bed, or like when Paula goes into the bedroom and is looking for her and she slides out from under the bed and she's like, I'm under here. Like, it's always funny.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting because really up until the moment that she's pounding on the trunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's up to debate whether or not she's a ghost or not, because you've heard all this other people saying, oh, you know, I saw your mother and stuff like this. And, you know, the way he's sort of playing with the supernatural in that. But, you know, when she's pounding on that trunk to be let out, you know, okay, that's a person. I don't know what happened, but there's no way that's a ghost, right? Because she's a ghost. She would just, you know, transition out of there.
And when she's like, you know, come give your mother a hug.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's physically there. You know, and so you realize, oh no, this is real. But that time when she first sees her, like, yeah, I mean, it could have been a supernatural thing. Yeah, you know, that when she first encounters her in the house. Yeah,
the way it's presented with the lighting on the wall, there's some movement there, and then she's, of course, her hair's all white at a distance, and then Sol comes out screaming. It's not a paranormal film, but there are hints of paranormal through that introduction of her.
Exactly.
Even just thinking about once they go inside from being outside the car, Sol asks her, how long do you anticipate on staying? And she says, I will stay as long as I'd like, or something like that. And she's like, if it's okay with you. So Sol's now stuck with her mom.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a similarity between how Sol is treated by Irene and Raimunda. They're both very direct women, and Sol is continuously pushed over by the two of them.
Yeah, and you really see that, like you said, because you see her sister doing it to her at the beginning of the film, and then with the mom, it's the same thing. These people they have no problem sort of bulldozing in and taking over her life,
nope.
You know, and she's just not able to really push back. Yeah.
No. She stays
which I think makes her very, sorry.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
It makes her a very sympathetic character, too. And that's, like I said at the beginning, you know, when you were asking me, you know, did you like Penelope Cruz's character from the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I said I did like her, admire her, but I didn't like the way she treated her sister.
Yeah.
Oh, like when she's talking about not being able to go to the funeral, you know, just tell her that you have to open the restaurant. Like, you could just tell her that. You don't have to just...
Yeah. And, well, she was the one that had the connection with Aunt Paula. Raimunda did. Raimunda lived with her because she was sent to Aunt Paula because the family was quite poor. But even just thinking about being at Aunt Paula's house, the way Aunt Paula, like, very hesitantly gives her kisses on the cheek. She gives plenty for her great-granddaughter, I guess. Or no, her
niece.
For her niece, yeah. For the young Paula and Raimunda. And then with Sol, it's just like one kiss on the cheek, slowly to the other cheek, one. She's like, I thought that was especially very funny.
Yeah, I did, but I also felt bad. It's because it's funny, but I also felt really bad for her.
Yeah.
Too. You know, you feel sorry for Paula because it's just like, you know, she's just such a good person. It's just a little tough to see. But then it's nice because then you see how close she is with her niece. So that's a much more reciprocal relationship.
And her niece slowly becomes more empathetic towards her and, like, tells her mom, you know, we should really give her a notice if we're going to come over. We can't just drop by. She understands that that's rude. So it's nice to see her gravitate and pull her mother along towards kindness and being considerate of others.
Yeah. And of course, there's also, she doesn't want her mother just to drop in because, you know, they're concealing the grandmother is there too.
I love how she does it because she's like yelling and Raimunda's like, are you going deaf or something? That was so funny. Well, let's see. Well, before we get into the big scene between Raimunda and Irene, I did want to talk about Agustina a bit because Blanca Portillo plays a very similar character in this film as she does with Broken Embraces. She plays a very loyal character to the main characters, or in Broken Embraces, to the main character, one, because she doesn't like Penelope Cruz's character. And like all the women, they're all forgiven, but she's forgiven by the audience, even though she does betray their loyalty by going on TV.
Yeah, I guess for me, like, I understood why they were upset, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she was really desperate. And also, Raimunda, just when she was asking her, if you see your mother, you know, ask her for me. And she's like, well, that doesn't exist. And there's no ghosts and stuff, which I found very unsympathetic. So at the end, I don't know, I had a lot of empathy for her in that, even though, you know, what she was doing was sort of like airing their dirty laundry. She was also very desperate too.
Yeah.
You know, it really was a life or death situation. It was kind of interesting. By the way, if people don't know, because she talks about going to Houston is the World Center for Cancer Research. In case you're wondering, why is she going to Houston? That's why.
Yeah. And she refuses it because she felt like she had to look them in the eyes. And it was a similar reason to why she didn't go and bring her child to the U.S. for care in Broken Embraces. So the big scene, the penultimate scene that the film leads to is in the park, and it's the moment where Raimunda and Irene talk. I imagine for Almodóvar fans, this is the equivalent to De Niro and Pacino on screen together for the first time in Heat. If a theater was packed with Almodóvar fans, I imagine it was so silent you can hear a pin drop. In your research, have you found much from either Penelope or Carmen about working together in this scene?
No, I haven't.
Me neither.
Yeah, which would be interesting to see from. But I did find, I was so mad though, on YouTube, they had Almodóvar interviewing in a round table all the actresses that were in the film, but there weren't any subtitles.
Exactly.
It was in Spanish. I was so bummed because I was so disappointed because I really would have liked to, you know, to have heard the conversation because this would probably come up.
Yes, and really all Carmen Maura interviews were nearly without subtitles in English. There was only one that I found that I think was at a film festival, and it was Penelope interviewed and then Pedro and then Carmen, but that was it. And even in those series of interviews, they don't talk about each other, not really. And the only time I found Penelope discussing it, she kept it very simply put. She admitted she loved to see Almodóvar and Carmen working together, but nothing about really them working together, which I would like to learn more about. That's a big deal to see them together on screen.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen them talking about working with each other too. And I just also wanted to say that I found that scene way more compelling than the scene in Heat with Pacino and De Niro. Just my 2 cents.
It's far more meaningful. I mean, considering the context, this is where the truth comes out. Her reason for returning is laid bare with Raimunda now. Her mother's apologizing for being blind to the monstrous situation that happened behind her back. This is where all the truth comes out between the two of them, and we learn that Paula is her daughter, is Raimunda's daughter and sister, and the abuse that was taking place. And I felt it was a shorter scene the second time I watched it, but it's so important to the film. It's so important.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of the emotional climax of the film. Like, it's what everything's sort of leading up to, is the sort of clearing of the air between them. And, I mean, obviously, it's also a story reveal as well, because you understand, like, why she married the person she did, you know, and stayed married to him, and why she was so obviously, you know, she was carrying so much anger towards her mother, and, you know, and why she believed her daughter right away, which you would hope people would do anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and is willing to go to the lengths she did. So, yeah, I mean, so it brings together so many elements. But I just think just from an emotional point, it's really beautiful. Just the, you know, the forgiveness and yeah, it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful scene. Just really, really emotional.
It's a beautiful scene, and based on the personalities we see prior of Irene and Raimunda, you can kind of see with Irene's harder exterior that maybe Raimunda she didn't feel comfortable telling her mom. Maybe she was more like Sol as a kid in a similar dynamic because her mother seemed tough. She had known that her husband had been cheating on her all this time, and she presented to them as if nothing were wrong, that they were happy in love.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, and it's just a common thing anyway, too, for, kids not to tell their parents when something happens. It's
sure.
just, and a lot of times the other person threatens them in a way of
mm-hmm.
some kind of blackmail or emotional blackmail, not to tell anybody.
Yeah.
Too, so, I mean, that could be parts of it too, because we see with her own daughter, even though Raimunda has that same tough exterior, her own daughter still told her what happened. Well, I guess she had to because it was the body in the apartment. Yeah. So it was not like I guess not telling her wasn't an option. And maybe that was the difference too. It was a situation where she had to say something.
There was blood all over the kitchen. He was like,
right. Yeah. You kind of can't pretend it didn't happen kind of thing.
But it's almost like Raimunda
and also,
did.
A lot of children.
Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and also a lot of times, children blame themselves in that kind of a situation. Because children tend to take on the blame for a lot of things that aren't their fault. And, it affects their psychology and how they deal with things as they get older.
Well, maybe that's what happened with Raimunda. Because she felt so much shame from that and being abused by her father. And she was so quick to not only believe Paula because she sees it in the kitchen, but to immediately say, I'm the one who did this. I'm the one who killed him. She was there for her in a way that her own mother wasn't, or just was absolutely blind to.
Yeah. And then it's such an emotional impact then because you think back to that scene and how awful it must be for her daughter to have gone through something similar.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a beautiful scene, especially to have that moment for her mom to still be around, to have that forgiveness again. It's very moving and seemingly impossible, but to kind of close that door and have forgiveness and then move forward when you thought that the door was closed is a beautiful thing.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining me, Anne, for another wonderful conversation that I had long been looking forward to having. This had been my most highly anticipated episode going into this year, and I once again had a great time. I'm glad to have found a fellow Almodóvar fan, and his work, already deeply passionate, brings the passion out of his admirers, and I think that passion was clear in our voices and in this discussion today. I'm already looking forward to our future episodes together. So there's so much happening with the Film Noir Foundation, and I believe a new city is being added to the Noir City Film Festival lineup in July, right? Hello?
Sorry, my phone muted there.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, we're finally going to be in New York, which is something people have really wanted us to do, and we're going to be at the Paris Theater from July 10th to 19th. We're really hoping people will come out and give us a warm reception in New York. And it's very, very exciting. And that will be a 10-day festival like the ones in Oakland and Hollywood. So
that's
very excited about that.
This has been long in the works.
Very much so.
And there are a few more upcoming Noir City Film Festivals. There was one that just wrapped up in Boston. And the next three after Noir City, New York, will be held in August and September. Noir City, Portland is taking place from August 21st to the 23rd. Noir City, Chicago will last nearly a week in September, from September 4th to September 10th. And then Noir City is coming to Detroit from September 18th to the 20th. And in January, you had the big 23rd annual Noir City Film Festival in Oakland, and it ran for over a week, as you said, and from what I saw online, it was the biggest year yet.
Yeah, we had a very successful year, and it was a very fun year because this year all our North Cities are themed around musicians and film noir. And in Oakland and LA, we were able to have Nick Rossi, he's our kind of our musical arranger every year and has taken over being our announcer from the late, great Bill Arney. And, he's a musician himself. He has a trio. He plays at the top of the mark on a regular basis. And so it was really great. We had a ton of live music, but also when he was doing the introductions with Eddie, we got a lot of the musical significance of the musicians in the films in a way that we've never had before. And it was just very exciting.
Yeah, there was a full lineup of musicians. It was pretty incredible. And everyone dresses up. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying this year's Ms. North City was also a singer, so she also performed.
Oh, amazing. And you got up on stage for the first time.
Yes, that's true. In Oakland, yes. Yeah. For the first time, Eddie was like, oh, hey, tonight can you come on stage with me and promote our podcast, which is Ask Eddie.
Yes.
And we're on every 2 weeks. We do it as a live event on Facebook, and then we're on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, to the North City channel, at North City, all our episodes are up on there. And I have ambitions to start putting the podcast up on Spotify and Apple, but I don't want to say that I'm definitely doing that. So, so hopefully when this airs, I will have gotten that together. And, but that's my ambition, is to get us up on podcast formats, because we've definitely had people wanting us to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll expand the community even more. It's already a big community on the Film Noir Foundation social medias, especially Facebook and YouTube. So I can't imagine how much bigger it'll get. That'll be incredible.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. And just the whole reason why we do the festivals and we do the podcast is we really want people to support our efforts on film restoration. This year we had 2 restored films, the Yellow Canary and Suddenly Scarlet.
Amazing.
And and how we restore the films is that regular people just donate to us, at the filmnoirfoundation.org. And it doesn't seem like you're doing a lot when you donate $20 to us. I mean, you get the magazine, but you're pushing us towards our ability, our goals of restoring films. This very much comes just from people. We don't have grants and that kind of thing. And so we're very appreciative of everybody that helps out. And even if you don't think it's that much money, it does make a difference, because this is our primary fundraising is grassroots.
Yeah.
So, the reason why we do the podcast and the festival, I mean, we want people to watch films when we do the festivals, but it's also to get, everything that we do is about restoring films.
Yeah. And I hope the big turnout this past year in Oakland really helped with the funding of restoring films.
Yeah, absolutely. The festival in Oakland is our big fundraiser, basically. So when you guys come to the Oakland Festival, that's really a fundraiser, which is very unusual, because usually people have to raise funds to put on the festivals, but we actually put on the festivals to raise funds. And obviously, we also keep our costs extremely low at the foundation. It's really just a couple of us that do everything. So your money really goes to the films.
Absolutely. It's incredible. Yeah. And to get tickets to these festivals and to keep up with the upcoming Noir City festivals, go to noircity.com. And as Anne said, be sure to subscribe to the magazine on the Noir City site, and follow the Film Noir Foundation on Facebook, and subscribe to Noir City on YouTube to watch these bi-weekly Ask Eddie conversations. And before we wrap up, Almodóvar's latest film, Bitter Christmas, just debuted in Cannes and earned a 6.5-minute standing ovation. The film premiered in Spain and a few other European countries, but not yet in the U.S. Are you two on the edge of your seat waiting for this film to hit theaters?
Yes, I was very excited because, I was looking stuff up for us doing this, and I thought, oh my God, it's got a new movie coming. And so I was very excited.
The anticipation keeps building. It's already debuted in Spain and Italy, and I thought it would come out in March until I clicked to learn more details. The U.S. release date has not been set, so I know it'll be out in the fall. That and The Odyssey are my two most highly anticipated films. Two of my favorite directors still working, having new films out this year. Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm very excited for The Last Viking by Anders Thomas Jensen that's coming out finally in America. It's taken forever. I'm just waiting for it. So hopefully I'm hoping by the time this airs, it'll have gotten released in San Francisco. I really want to see this film, and it's just like, but I'm very excited about Bitter Christmas as well. And I really want to see it in a theater.
Oh, absolutely. I hope they rightfully have a wide release for this film. The Room Next Door didn't have the widest release. It was not even at some of the biggest chain theaters near me. So I'm hoping Bitter Christmas will be different and more people will go out and see it. We're getting an Almodóvar film, everyone. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it is a very big deal. And I'm almost wondering, too, if it's actually going to do better because it is in Spanish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that was part of it, too. Because there's a very strong foreign films, there's a strong network releasing those films, and they tend to play in places where they'll play longer, because, this is a theater that plays foreign films.
His long relationship with Sony Pictures Classics.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. and of course, I forgot to say this before. So Augustine, his brother, is his producer, and that fantastic scene in the hardware store where she goes to buy all this stuff, which makes me laugh, especially when she has the pickaxe, and this guy's not, this is clearly you're burying a body, and the guy's not even reacting. That was his brother, Augustine, playing that role.
I did not know that. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, a little cameo.
Yeah. I'm so glad that I remembered that, because I would have been kicking myself if I hadn't mentioned that.
I know. There's several things that I wish we had more time to discuss. There were more scenes and more questions, but this was already a great discussion. And as I always ask at the end of episodes, is there a film recommendation, a line from a film, really anything you would like to conclude our episode with today?
I think I wanted to say that I got to see Letty Linton at the Turner Classic Movie Film Festival, which was a film with Joan Crawford that hadn't been seen in over 90 years because of a dispute over, not plagiarism, the rights dispute over the source material. And Warner's is putting it on Blu-ray, and I really recommend to everybody that you watch it. It's a very enjoyable, very pre-code movie, and was one of her first really complex characters that she got to do.
I'm going to find it. I hope to see it on TCM soon, now that the film's becoming more accessible. And
the restoration's beautiful.
Oh, I'm sure. I can't wait to see that too. And thank you again very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I love having you on. And thank you all for listening. And I think this is the beginning of a beautiful episode. Bye, everyone.
There you go. Bye-bye.
Special thanks to Ann Hockens, Dr. Gillian Smith, James Miller, Taylor Donaldson, and Kim Krazan. This episode was recorded on May 28th, 2026.